Have you ever met someone new? Maybe at a spouse's work event, a dinner party, even a kid's sporting activity. In my experience, in an effort to get to know someone and create small talk, the question usually arises, so, what do you do? With pride, we love to share our positions and titles as though they're extensions of ourselves. But what do you do when the position is eliminated and the title no longer exists? Not by choice, but by circumstances outside of your control. Corporate layoffs, a business that has to close its doors forever. In this day and age, maybe you're being replaced by artificial intelligence. According to Pew Research, more than 50% of people who experience job loss also experience a loss of identity. Not just a loss of income, but a loss of self. I'm part of that 50%. When I lost the business that defined me for close to 2 decades, I didn't just lose my livelihood. I started to have what I would identify as an identity crisis, a wrestling match with who I was. Modern culture treats value and vocation as one and the same. It's a very dangerous narrative because when the job is eliminated, our identity often goes right out the door with it. But what if our identity was never supposed to be tied to our work? What if our identity was supposed to be tied to our values, to our character, to the community that supports us when there is no position or title? For close to 2 decades, I coached a fitness community where early in the morning, crowds of people would load up in parking lots and start the day with a workout, and I had the privilege to coach them in the beginning of the day. By 2025, those numbers had dwindled to the point where I knew it was time to go in a different direction. I made the decision that December 20th, 2025 would be my final workout. I showed up on that Saturday morning to set up for the workout. When I arrived, there were already people warming up on the track, some people stretching at their mats, and others just standing around talking to one another. As I prepared the parking lot for the workout, more and more people continued to arrive, faces I had not seen in years. All in all, more than 80 people showed up to that workout. The workout flowed effortlessly. But at some point, I remember having to put on my sunglasses to hide the tears as I watched people celebrate the very thing that I was quietly grieving inside. When the workout was over, the parking lot was clear. I sat in my truck reminiscing on all the memories that had happened in this parking lot. And I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe it's over. What am I going to do now? I've been reflecting a lot since that moment, and I would like to share with you what that reflection has been teaching me. The first thing reflection has taught me is that you are not what you do. It's a statement many of us have heard before. It sounds familiar, but it's simply not as easy as it sounds. I loved telling people I was a personal trainer. I loved sharing stories of transformation of the men and women who had worked with me over the years. And when that was gone, I couldn't really define who I was. I had a hard time expressing who I was. And I think many of us fall into that situation. Many of you have titles that sound impressive in rooms, CEOs of companies, sales executives at Fortune 100 companies, business owners, maybe even entertainers that get to travel the world and grace various stages. But if I asked you about who you are and you could not tell me about your work, many of you, like me, would struggle. Not because you don't know who you are, but because we've just been conditioned to lead with what we do and have a hard time telling people who we are. The second thing that reflection has taught me is that growth is not linear. I used to think that growth was like a staircase. Every flight of stairs laid out in front of you, and as long as you hit all the steps, your goal will be accomplished. Once you accomplish a goal and reach the top of those stairs, there'll be another flight of stairs waiting on you to move towards your next goal. We build our careers, our relationships, our personal development on that model of growth being like a staircase. But I've come to discover that that model is a lie. Growth is not like a staircase. It is more like a climbing wall, where we're reaching up, trying to get a grip to climb a little bit higher, constantly adjusting, constantly resetting, and sometimes having to come back down in order to find a better angle back up. Many of you, just like myself, may have crossed a path where you feel like you may be behind. You're looking at other people and it looks like they're climbing an escalator compared to what you're doing. But the reality is we are all on a climbing wall. Some of those walls look like climbing walls in a rec center. Some of those walls look like the 3,000-foot mountain at Yosemite Park. Each of us just trying to get a grip and pull ourselves up higher, sometimes just holding on for dear life. The third thing that reflection has taught me is that starting over is okay. Did you know that Morgan Freeman didn't get his big break in acting until he was 50 years old? Prior to that, he served in the U.S. Air Force. He worked as a mechanic. And he played in some small roles in movies and stage plays where his name didn't even make the credits. Since 50, he has gone on to star in 50 more movies, including Driving Miss Daisy, where he won an Academy Award, Bruce Almighty, where he played the voice of God, Olympus Has Fallen, where he played the president, and my favorite movie, Shawshank Redemption, where he played the character Red. Nobody desires to start over, but for each and every one of us, there'll become a point in life where starting over is necessary for some function in life. Starting over may feel like waking up without a plan and second-guessing every decision you ever made. It may mean going back to school and get the degree you never finished so you can start a brand new career. Sometimes it may mean taking a sabbatical and getting a new perspective on life. Whatever it is that you have to start over, understand that starting over is okay. Starting over is not a finality. It's an opportunity to gain a new perspective and see which direction your life is going to take you in the next chapter. People still ask me what I do. And if I'm being 100% transparent, I hesitate to respond. When the title was clear, the answer was easy. But once clarity left, I start to question myself. If I'm not what I do, then who am I? We have treated what you do as a proxy for who you are. And when that answer is uncertain, it provides us a unique opportunity to create an identity that is independent of a paycheck or a title. So I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you to ask a different question, a better question, one that moves beyond the surface level small talk and moves us into more human connection. Instead of asking, what do you do? Ask people to tell me about yourself without telling me what you do. Because a title can tell you how a person earns a living, but it cannot tell you what makes their life meaningful. Thank you.